Hi, my name is Cliff Patterson, CEO of Luna Geospatial. Today I'm going to talk to you about putting maps on the web with LunaMap. Just a brief outline of what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss configuring LunaMap, publishing vector layers from PostGIS, publishing raster layers from Geoserver, and we're going to talk about creating both private and public workspaces in LunaMap. Lastly, we're going to create maps. We're going to create a Find My Property, garbage collection, and parks and recreation maps. These are all going to be in a public workspace. Lastly, we're going to create a water hydrant map, which will be in a private workspace. Okay, in this part of the demo, we're going to configure LunaMap. Specifically, we're going to change the logo, change the colors, change the login screen image, and we're also going to change the login welcome message. Okay, here is LunaMap, how it looks when we first install it for a client. It obviously has the LunaMap logo, it has Welcome to Luna Geo on it, and it has this image of the moon as the landing screen image. Now we want to change all this because we want this to look and feel like your own application. So I have this login credential, Bob at Noventra Consulting, which is just a made-up consulting company. For the sake of this demo. So if we log in again, there's no maps, there's no anything. You still see LunaMap at the top here as the logo, and we want to go in and change that. So if we go into the settings within LunaMap and go into appearance, we can change a whole bunch of things within the application. The first thing we're going to do is change the nav bar, and we're going to make that be gray. It'll look a lot nicer with the logo that we're going to add. Next, we're going to define the mobile logo, and this will be just a small little image that we're going to load. So we have the Noventra small, and then we're going to add the desktop image, which is again in here, and we have the Noventra logo, which is the full logo right here, and then we're going to add the image itself. And I'll go back into here, and we have the login page image. Now when I apply these changes, now we have the Noventra Consulting logo here, and all the other features are added. So if I do log out right now, you're going to see that the login screen now shows this nice image of a city. It shows the Noventra Consulting logo, and it has removed that text from there. Now if we want to go in there and change that text, we can also go into the settings, go into appearance, and we can add this welcome text, and we can say, welcome to Noventra map portal, and we can apply those changes. Now if we log out, you can see that we have the image, we have welcome to Noventra map portal, and then we have the credentials and everything we can log in. So that's it. So we've completely sort of rebranded the website, and it looks great now. When you log in, you can see this logo, and this has the light gray nav bar. Everything's ready now for us to actually start creating maps in this new organization. In this part of the demo, I'm going to show you how we publish vector layers from PostGIS. Specifically, we're going to publish 4 different layers: property parcels, garbage collection zones, parks, and water hydrants. Okay, so to publish a vector layer from PostGIS, we just log into LunaMap, and then what we're going to do is head over to the management section in the drop-down menu, and we're going to click on layers. We have no layers published right now in LunaMap, so we're going to add a few. So let's start with property parcels. So the first thing we want to do is we want to name the layer. So this is how it's going to appear in the application, property parcels. We want to provide some sort of a description. So parcels for Kamloops. And in this demo, we're just going to be using all the data that we can find, all the open data we can find for Kamloops, British Columbia. All right, so I have a Geoserver already connected to this, and I know that all my layers are sitting here in the LunaMap. So now I'm just defining the location of the layers themselves within the Geoserver. So I have to sort of tell the application this is where the layer lives within Geoserver. Next, I have to tell the application where the layer lives within the database itself. And I have to find it, property parcels. There we go. So we have everything. Now we have the choice when we're loading the layers if we want it to be a tiled type, if we want it to be tiled, or a single tile. When we're loading these as WMS, and we can also select the image format that we'd like to use. I'm going to pretty much leave all this standard right now. I'm going to add this to the public map. So this is where we can define where the layer might exist. You can add a layer to multiple workspaces, or you can add it just to one individual workspace. I'm going to add it to the public workspace. Next, we can define a whole bunch of metadata. I'm just going to call this boundaries because this is the parcels. So we can define the language it is in English, and we can add keywords if we want as well. We can also define the author. I won't do that during this demo, but I'll talk more about metadata in another video. We also can add owners, but then this is the important part too, is we need to define which fields are going to show up when we search. So which fields do we want to be searchable within the application? So for now, I'm just going to put address as being something that is going to be searchable. I'm not familiar with every single one of these attributes here right now, so I'm just going to leave it as that for now, and then that's going to show up. And then on the identify pop-up, I'm just going to make sure that address shows up. Maybe for the identify, I'll add a few other random IDs in here. Okay. So once we have this layer saved, we have property parcels, we can actually head over to LunaMap. If we were to create a quick little test map, I'm just going to call this test and call this test in the description. I can create this map, and now that I have a map created, I can add a layer, and we see the property parcels is now available as a layer, and I've added it to the map. If I zoom into this layer, we now have the property parcels for Kamloops, British Columbia on the map. Okay, so we've pulled that from the GeoServer and we pulled it from PostGIS. I'm going to go ahead and publish all the rest of the layers and then show you how this is going to work when we're creating maps with them. Okay, so as you can see, I have the 4 layers published that we're going to use in the maps that we're going to create. I have the garbage collection zones, parks, property parcels, and water hydrants. Now, all of the layers are published in pretty much the same way as I showed you with the property parcels, but I do want to show you one thing I did differently with parks. When I go into parks and look at the layer definition here, I did use a single tile. And the reason I did that is that when WMS brings in a tiled version of a layer that has a label in the middle, which Parks does, it will make copies of that label for each tile as it's brought in. So instead of having a nice label in the middle of each park, you have a bunch of different labels on the map, and it really doesn't look nice. So by setting it to a single tile just for that layer, it brings in the parks layer as a single tile. So all of these layers are ready to go. So if we do go back into LunaMap and if we create a test map again, test, we can then go in and add these specific layers. So we do have the garbage collection zone, we have the parks and rec, property parcels, and water hydrants. And if we zoom in, we can see that we have a very ugly map with too many layers piled up on top of each other. And everything loads quickly, and it's all being pulled from PostGIS via GeoServer as a WMS layer. So now we're ready. So the next thing we need to do is think more about raster data. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is publish raster data from GeoServer. So for Kamloops, we have 4 sets of aerial photos that are available. So I'm going to publish the Kamloops aerial for 2020, 2008, 2004, and 1999. And then I'm going to show you how we can sort of layer these things on these aerials on the map in a grouped layer and toggle them on and off quite easily. And again, all this is being pulled directly from GeoServer as a WMS. Everything was published previously, and I'll show you how to publish those things within GeoServer in another video that's coming soon. Okay, so in LunaMap, what we want to do is we want to pull in those aerials from GeoServer. So the first step, it's exactly as it was when we were setting up the vector data, except this time what we're going to do is we're going to define it as a raster type that we're going to pull in. Now you notice when we set it to raster, it doesn't ask you for any details relating to PostGIS, and that's because the data sets are not living within PostGIS. We're not using PostGIS whatsoever for adding these aerials to the map. So the first one we're going to add, we're going to go into here. I know where this one is, and this is our 1999 one. I have it in a workspace in GeoServer called Aerials. So this is our aerial 1999. Okay, so tiled is fine, PNG is fine. We're going to add this to the public workspace. We're going to go through, we're going to set it as imagery. I'm not going to name the author or owner of these data right now, and I'm going to press save. And now you're going to see that Aerial 1999 is here. So if we go back to our little test map that we have created here, zoom into this area, we can turn off all of these layers so nothing loads. Now we can add this additional layer, which is the Aerial's 1999 imagery. So now we have this high-res aerial photo that we can add to our maps. So I'm going to go through and add the 3 others, and then I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, so as you can see, we have all 4 aerial photos now published. We have the one from 1999, 2004, 2008, and 2020. And if we head back over to the map that we just created previously that had the 1999 aerial on it, if we turn that off, we can add another one. We can add the 2004. Now the 2004 imagery is on here. We can add the 2008. Let's just go ahead and add the 2020 as well. And we can turn off the 2020 and we can see that the 2008 is here. Now, one of the nice things here is that we also built into this application the ability to create groups of layers. So we can actually create one called aerials and aerials for cam loops. And we can also make this mutually exclusive, which is kind of nice. And I'll show you how that works. So if we grab one of these aerials and drag it into this group, just like this. Oops. And then grab this one, and then put the 1991 on top. We have them all in a row now. So now we can turn on the 1999, flip over to the 2004, the 2008, and the 2020, which is kind of nice. Now if we collapse these, we can bring it to the bottom of our map. And then this sort of just acts like a base map that we can use for our application. So we can easily flip these on and off and have them on the map. So that's how we publish rasters. Fairly easy. You're basically just pulling it from Geoserver, loading it in, and then you're able to load those onto whatever maps you have within your LunaMap. Okay, so the concept of a workspace in LunaMap is really central. We publish layers to a workspace, we create maps within a workspace, and we also grant user privileges within the individual workspaces. So in this demo, I can't go into all the aspects of how we use workspaces within LunaMap, but I'm going to show you 2 of the most basic and fundamental concepts. So we're going to talk about public workspaces and how they're visible to anyone with the URL. Next, we're going to talk about private workspaces and how they require authentication. And then we're going to go in and we're actually going to create a couple. So we're going to rename the current public workspace, and we're going to call it City Maps. Then we're going to create a workspace and we're going to call it Public Works. All right, so let's dive into the demo and I'm going to show you how this works within the application. Okay, so back in LunaMap, all we have to do to manage our workspaces is to click on the top right drop-down and go into Workspaces. We didn't save our map previously, so I'm just going to press continue without saving because I don't need to really save those changes that I made. You can see that we have a public workspace already. And the first thing we want to do is we want to go in and we want to rename this workspace. So I'm going to edit this a little bit and I'm going to call this City Maps, because this will be our public web map that we're going to share out on the web. And we can see that we have selected is public. And this is the toggle that would either make the workspace public or not. And in an organization, you can only have one public workspace. So if there's ever a map or a layer that you want to share with non-authenticated users, you're going to put them within this, this single public workspace that you have. I'll press save on that. Okay, so now it's now called City Maps. And if we go into our drop-down, we can see that now the workspace is called City Maps. All right, let's go back into Workspaces and we're going to create another one. We're going to create one called Public Works. And we're just going to say this is the Public Works workspace. Okay, this is created. It is not going to be public. We're not going to add any users to it because I actually don't have any users created. And user management is a whole other video that I'll create for you soon. So let's create the public works. Now we can see already that one is public, one is not. And if we go down now, we can go into the public works workspace, and you can see there are no maps in this, but that if we flip back over to the city maps one, we can see now that there is a map called test that I created previously. So in the next couple of steps, what we're going to do now is create our maps within these two different workspaces. We're going to create 3 maps that are going to be public within the public workspace, and then we're going to create one more, the water hydrants, that's going to be within the public works workspace, and that will be private, and it will require authentication. Okay, so in this demo, I'm going to create a simple map that allows us to add the property parcels onto a map with the aerial photos, and this can be a public map that might allow the public to, locate their property on the map and maybe find some information about things like the property identification number or maybe some taxation information. So this is really just a basic map that we might add to any local government website. Okay, so back in LunaMap, now we're going to create this property parcels map. Okay, so we got to make sure we're in the right workspace. So we are in the city maps workspace. We do not have any maps anymore. I just deleted that other one that we were working on as just a test. So I'm going to add a new map. And the new map that I'm going to add is going to be called Find My Property. And we are going to add just a brief description that just basically says this map can be used to locate your property on the map. And we're going to share the map with the workspace. Now, the reason why we check that box is that you can create a map within the workspace so that other users cannot see it. But in this case, we want everyone to be able to see it. And also, this is our public web map application. So we're able to now see, we want people to actually be able to go in and see this map. So we want it to be on the workspace and visible to anybody on that workspace. Okay, so we create our map. Our Find My Property map has now been created, and we are going to go into the layers panel, and we're going to start adding the layers. We know what the first one is that we need. We need the property parcels. But I think another one that might be nice is the aerial photos for 2020. Let's add just the most recent one. I don't think there's a point in really going back in time right now, but we're just going to add one in here. We can locate our parcels. We can now zoom in to the aerial photo or the property parcels, whichever one you want. We're going to center the map nicely where we want it to be. We can have it either zoomed out all the way like this, or we can zoom in a little bit more. And then we're going to save that map. So now when we save the map, now it's always visible. So if we click over to the public works workspace, we can see obviously that map does not exist here because it's not in this workspace. But now if we flip over to the city maps, it automatically goes to that first map that we've created and loads it for view. So now we have our first public map. Now we're going to dive in and do the other ones that we want to add to this application. Okay, the next map that we're going to be creating is the garbage collection map. And in this map, we're basically just going to be adding the garbage collection zone over that 2020 aerial, and we're going to be adding that to the city maps workspace. Okay, back in LunaMap, you can see that we're still on the Find My Property map. So the first thing we need to do is create a new map and call it Garbage Collection Zones. This map will just have a simple description, which is just, this map shows the garbage collection zones for Kamloops. And again, we want to share it to the workspace. Now we have a blank map. We want to add that layer. We're going to add 2 layers. We'll add the 2020 aerial in case anybody wants to see it. But we're also going to add the garbage collection zone layers to the map. We can also adjust the opacity a little bit. So if we do want to make it just a little bit more, we can do this, and then we can press save on this map, and this will save the map. So now if we go up here, we can see we have 2. We have garbage collection zone and we have Find My Property. And we can easily flip between those 2. So now we can flip between the parcel map and the garbage collection zone map. Easy. Okay, the last map that we're going to create is a parks and recreation map. Okay, so back in LunaMap, we're still on that garbage collection zone map. Let's create a new one. Let's make one called Parks and Recreation, and it's going to have a very simple description, which is just the map shows parks and Kamloops. and we're going to share the map with the workspace. All right, so now we have our blank canvas. We want to add a couple of layers to this. We want to go into layers panel, and we want to add, let's add the 2020, and let's add the parks above that. So you'll notice all this stuff is being styled also by Geoserver. So we've already pushed out our styles from QGIS to Geoserver, and that I'm going to show you in a few other videos. But you can see as we zoom in, what's nice is these parks are being loaded as a single tile. So they're quite zippy. And then labels will also appear as we zoom in a little closer. The labels for those individual parks will appear on the map. Okay, so we have everything in here. Let's maybe zoom into one of the main parks in Kamloops, and we are going to save the map here so that anytime the map is loaded, it's loaded at this exact same zoom level. And you can see that the preview here actually will show the current zoom level for the map when we save it. All right, so now we have three maps. We have Parks and Recreation, we have our garbage collection zone, and we have our property parcel map that we can load, and we can easily flip back to Parks and Recreation, and it zooms into the specific location. So now we have our three public maps. The next thing we have to do is create that one private map in Public Works for the fire hydrants. So let's dive into that. Okay, this is the last map that we're going to create. We're going to create the water hydrant or fire hydrant map in LunaMap. So this is the one that's going to be in a private workspace. It is not going to be visible to the general public. So back in LunaMap, the first thing we want to do is we want to switch workspaces. We no longer want to be in the City Maps workspace. We want to be in the Public Works workspace. So as we flip over here, we want to first create our map. All right, we're going to create a map called Water Hydrants. Water Hydrants for Kamloops. And we want to share this with the workspace. So anybody who has access to the workspace is now going to have access to this map. We're in the map and we want to add something. Now, here's a problem. There's no layers. We did publish the water hydrant layer. I know we did, but it's not visible within this workspace. Now, the reason for that is that we didn't set the security properly for that layer. So if we go back to Layer Manager and we go to Water Hydrants, come in here and click on security, we can see that it is added to the City Maps workspace, not the Public Works one. It doesn't need to be in the City Maps one because we're actually not using it ever there. Now we can leave it in case maybe one day we will create a map for the public and we would want to show the water hydrants to the general public. So for now, what we'll do is we'll just add the Public Works to the selected workspaces, and we go through, we press save. Okay, so now if we go back to our workspace and go back to make sure we're right on the right map, we can now go in and we can add water hydrants to this map. So let's zoom in. Now when the map loads, this is kind of messy. So let's maybe load in right to about here, or let's also load into maybe about the park here. This is a good zoom level, and we can press save on this map. Now the nice thing about this is that we can easily go in, we select which layer we want to identify, we can find all the information, and this is a layer that has a lot of attributes, so we can see all the attributes related to this layer. This is one that I often use for demo purposes because it's really nice looking at it also on the attributes table, and we can easily go through and look at things like if we're looking for something that is 3918, you can easily locate 38. Individual features, zoom into them, find them on the map. It's really quite easy. All right, so that's our water hydrant map. Now we have our 4 maps created. If we flip over to City Maps, I'm going to continue without saving. We go into our maps, we have 3 maps created, and if I switch workspaces and go to the Public Works workspace, I can see that we have 1 map called Water Hydrants. So how does this work now if the general public want to access this website? Let's take a look at that. Okay, so if we log out of LunaMap, we land on the login page, and it's always your domain, whatever URL you want for your LunaMap, /login. That will land you onto this page. But if you go to the main URL, whether it's a subdomain like map.yourcompany.com, you're going to land on this link, which is the public workspace. So if you do have a workspace that is public, you'll go straight here. If you don't have a workspace that's public, you will always be redirected back to the login screen. So now all those maps that we created are now available to the general public. We have our Find Our Property map, so if somebody wants to come in and search for a specific property, they're able to do so. They can locate the property and find more information, use the Identify tool to see more information about this property, view the whole property record if they want. It's fairly fast, fairly zippy, and just allows you to go through all the data, and now you're exposing all of your geospatial data directly to the web. The nice thing about this too is that because it lives within a PostGIS database, if you make any changes to these data sets within QGIS, automatically you will see those changes immediately on the web. Now, if that's something you don't want to happen, there's also some other things that you can do. And I'll be doing a few videos on that soon, talking about materialized views within Postgres and how those can be used in a web map application. So we have all our maps. We can flip over to the garbage collection map and the parks and recreation maps. But I want to draw your attention to this one thing. At the top right, all we have is the login. That will just take us back to the login screen. There is no access to that public works web map application. In fact, there's no ability to even add that water hydrant layer to these maps because it hasn't been added to a map. It's not visible to the general public. They can't access anything within this application. They can go into the layers, but there's no add layer button, right? They can't modify the map. The save button isn't on the map, so they're not able to actually save the map or change it because that would be crazy. This is just a read-only version of this map that's visible to the public. So with just a couple of clicks, we've published layers, we've shown them on the map, and now we're able to share these maps and share our geospatial data directly from our PostGIS database on the web. LunaMap is really a powerful tool, and this is the thing that we've built this around an enterprise environment. We want people to have that power to be able to load all their data into their database, share it out through Geoserver, and share it out to the web really easily without any programming whatsoever. All right, thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about LunaMap or set up a private demo, head over to lunamap.io. Thanks a lot.